Hello everybody, I'm Don Counts. We're here at the Warrior exhibit and we have Linda Williams here. And Linda, we have another veteran interview. Who we got today?
Don, today we have Tony Brown. Tony's a classmate of mine and he served in the Navy. And we're happy to have you today, Tony.
Thank you.
So,
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you into the military.
Yeah, first off, Linda, I want to congratulate you for all you do for veterans, okay? You work tirelessly and endlessly on their behalf. I don't think everybody knows that, but that's the reason I came to do the interview. It's one of the things I wanted to say is it's a pleasure to be your friend and classmate and be involved with this, okay? I grew up on the state line, Alabama state line, Tennessee state line, and my dad was a farmer. We had 50 acres. We drew cotton. We left there and moved to Fayetteville. And my dad got a job at Borden's milk plant, and he worked there a lot of my childhood, and it moved away to Louisiana. He went back and found other occupation as a carpenter. And I went to Central High School and graduated with you. And if you'll remember, I wasn't very big. I was a small guy, okay? I weighed 125 or 128 pounds when I graduated high school, and I was several inches shorter than I am now. Didn't have a lot of confidence and was kind of timid, I suppose, when it came to things. But anyway, Vietnam was going on, and I really didn't want to go. I was looking for ways to get out of doing it, you know, because I just didn't think I was cut out for war. So I started looking at options, you know, Air Force, they were already filled up. Coast Guard filled up. National Guard filled up. So I had a choice actually between being drafted, I thought at the time, in the Army or being a Marine or being in the Navy. So I thought Navy was the safest thing I could probably do for my future. So I joined the Navy and got deferred for 3 months because it was a waiting line to get into the Navy, because there's a lot of people like me that didn't want to be involved with Vietnam. And what prompted me to think that way, Linda, was your brother. You know, that hit home with me. So anyway, I joined the Navy, okay? And you get in the Navy and they ask you what you want to be, you know? And I said, well, I want to be an aviation machinist mate in Memphis, Tennessee. That's my first choice. And they said, well, Tony, you are special because you have a high school education. We'll see what we can do for you. What's your second choice? And I said, aviation machinist mate, Memphis, Tennessee. Put that down as number 3 too. I don't want it to be any mistake about what it is I'm going to do in the Navy, because I'm special, you know. Anyway, I got gunner's mate is what I got. So I had never planned on being a gunner's mate in the Navy. Really what I hoped to do was to make cheese at the Kraft food plant in Fayetteville, Tennessee, and not even have to go. And a funny story about that, I applied several times down there and they never did call me. They called me to come to work the day that I was packing to go to boot camp. Can you believe that? And I told them, I said, you hold that job for me, because when I get out of the Navy, I'll come back and I'll make cheese for you. You know, my dad made cheese at Borden's. I'll make cheese for you. Long line of cheesemakers. So I get in the Navy and everybody is going to the Brown Water Navy after the boot camp. Brown Water Navy is where Navy people suddenly are involved in Vietnam on river patrol boats and other kind of watercraft in Vietnam. I didn't get that. I got an aircraft carrier out of Quonset Point, Rhode Island. So I thought, you know, the stars are with me here. I'm lucky. So I go on a Caribbean cruise with the Navy and a North Atlantic cruise with the Navy, and I like this pretty well. During the meantime, I started growing, okay? I went from being a small guy to where I'm at right now. I gained about 50 pounds and grew about 4 or 5 inches. So my confidence with that started to increase a little bit. And I was on my second North Atlantic cruise to river patrol boat training in Vallejo, California. So they flew me straight from England, where I was at, straight to California for that training, because people were getting beat up pretty good in the Navy, in the brown water Navy, and especially the ones on river patrol boats. And I hadn't seen my parents now in about a year and a half, and I'm headed straight to Vietnam as soon as the training's over. So I go through river patrol boat training in Vallejo, California, and then I go to San Diego, California for Vietnamese language school. And then I go to Whidbey Island, Washington for survival training. And then I go straight in country to Vietnam and started my tour of duty in Vietnam on river patrol boats, which, you know, I tell people I was on river patrol boats and they all say, man, that's the worst duty you could have possibly have gotten. And, you know, I sort of liked it for a while, but the thing about river patrol boats were these boats were 32 foot long and about 10 foot wide, and they carried 4-man crews. And they had twin 50s on the front and 60s on the sides and 50s on the back and a grenade launcher. And you had a Vietnamese interpreter you took with you. So there's 8 guys, 2 boats, and you get sometimes 25, 30 miles away from base. So, you know, you're sort of just out there by yourself. So the danger element of that being where somebody can't get to you is always there. Anyway, the first time I got wounded was relatively minor because they shot the glass out of the light that was next to my head, and I got fragments in my face. But the second time I got shot was a little different. They shot the boat out from under me that time. But you know, I learned a few things with that. You know, I learned that, you know, if you can be involved in that and you can come out, you can have a lot more confidence. But I also learned that, you know, while you're in the Navy, you know, you're taking orders from lots of people. And I'll be honest with you, some of them are not as smart as you are, you know. And I started to realize, you know, I'm not in charge of my destiny. I've got to be more in charge of what I want to do. If I can survive this and come home, then I'll go back to college. And I'll use this Vietnam experience to my benefit. After I healed up from that particular incident, they volunteered me for sniper school for the Navy. We had 18 people that went through that class, and we were trained by the 9th Army Division, and they were on the U.S. Olympic team.
So they sent you back from
So they sent me back into action, but this time I go back as a sniper, but I don't go like in country as a sniper. I go back as a sniper on boats. But what they had me doing was I'd be on helicopters behind the machine gunner on these Hueys, and I had a starlight scope, and we fly at night, and if you see movement on the starlight scope, you take a fully loaded clips of incendiary rounds and shoot circles around that movement, and the guy in the middle with the 50 and the helicopter would shoot in the center of that. That's kind of what I did for a while. But you know, if you've ever been in Vietnam, and I guess I do this for the benefit of some of the veterans, you can always remember being there at night and seeing all the tracers going up and all the tracers going down, and it's just constant all the time, you know, and so you know, you realize you're in a war every moment of the time that you're over there. You get dependent on your teammates, you know, and you learn that you don't judge people by their skin color, and you don't judge people by their background. You judge people by their ability to cover your back, you know. And even to this day, I tell people I choose my friends based on their ability to return fire. Because if you can return fire, you can be my friend. You can work for me if you can return fire. But if you can't return fire, I don't need you. You're just not valuable to me. I learned a lot of stuff in the military. You know, you're a kid when you go in there. I got promoted rather quickly. I got pretty good at being a river patrol boat guy, so I got responsibility. So what comes responsibility comes leadership, and you start to think about, you know, I can do more than make cheese at Kraft when I get out of here, you know. So, which is funny, if you go by the Kraft place right now, you know that that would not have been a good career choice for me. So, anyway, made it through Vietnam, made it through the sniper training, and nine of the 18 of us got killed, and I made it through all of that. So I got back to San Diego to muster out, and I'd gotten shot through the leg and knee and hand, face. I had to get that fixed, so I had the knee fixed, and then when I had the knee fixed, I mustered out of San Diego and was offered a job with the San Diego Police Department while I was out there. And I was also offered what I thought to be a considerable amount of money to re-up in the Navy at that time for 4 more years, which I didn't do. I got 3-month early out to go back to college. I come back and applied at Motlow, and I went there, and I got a scholarship out of there to Tennessee Tech, and I graduated from Tennessee Tech, and I got a job with Avery Express. And I spent 40 years with Avery Express, and they were wonderful. I got to do really amazing things with them. I got lots of responsibility, and they treated me very, very well, and I can't say how much I appreciate Gary Sasser and that company. It was a great experience.
Talk about some of the medals you got while you was in the military.
Well, I got 2 Purple Hearts, and when I got awarded the 2nd Purple Heart, I got awarded a Bronze Star with that, and I got a Navy Achievement Medal for a design. Yeah, what's funny is you get shot, and you look for ways not to get shot again. So I got on these boats. I figured if I could cut that boat stem down a little bit and put 260s on one mount instead of 160, I'd have twice as much firepower. So I developed a mount that snapped into that, and I didn't have a patent on it or anything, but they gave me a medal for that. Okay, so, and the other one, the Navy accommodation I got for being a coward. We were running away from a fight, and we turned around to get out of a fight. We're running back upriver wide open, and the battalion of VC was crossing the river in sampans. We drowned about half of them, so they gave me a medal for that. For being a chicken, okay. But we all got one. It was kind of funny, to be honest with you.
What did the military do for you for your career at Avery?
I always tell everybody there's 5 P's that you learn in the military. You always got a proper preparation prevents poor performance. I never will forget that, because I learned that from a guy that was teaching us how to load a carbine in rapid order and fire it. He was giving us a class on that. Those old guns are out of date now, but at the time that was pretty neat. So I remember that. So you always prepare. So if you're given an assignment, you do that the best you very can. And if you're not very smart like I am, you have to improvise. So at Avery, I always worked on the 2-hour philosophy. I'll go to work an hour earlier than you do, and I'll stay an hour later, and I'll beat you every time. And it worked very well for me, by the way. And you just be surprised, not many people really want to work these days. So if you're willing to work, and people I had lots of leaders when I was with Avery that I promoted, and I always promoted them on the fact they'd come to work and early and stay later if they needed to, and that they would return fire. I thought that was very important. I learned that from the military. You help me, I'll help you. When I got my scholarship to Tennessee Tech, the guy at Motlow, there's a counselor, gave it to me, and I was working at gas stations and grocery stores and everything else, trying to get by just to get an education. And I told him, I said, man, how in the world do I ever repay this? This is a godsend, He said, I tell you what, he said, I got a feeling you may be in a position one of these days to pay it back. It's payback. You hire some young people and you try to help them like I'm trying to help you. And I said, you promised me that? And I said, I promise. So I hired hundreds of kids over my career, and here in Fayetteville, Columbia, Saturn, Nashville, all those places I was at, the shops and everything else. But anyway, I always tell these kids, look, I'll hire you. You get a job as a dock guy going to college in the transportation business. You work on pretty good hours, and the pay is great. We pay people wonderfully well in the transportation business. These kids were making lots of money. And I'd always tell them, you know, if you ask for a job full time and quit college, I'm gonna let you go. You know, I want you to finish college. I want you to realize your dream. You know, so I'd always push them to do that. I had one kid here from Fayetteville that's a pilot, and I've got a kid that was an actor. I've got kids that are accountants, doctors, you know, that finished. It's really rewarding to see some of these young people that you've helped be so successful in life. That's my reward for all of this.
You
But,
also did a lot with St. Jude. You might talk about that while you're.
you know, St. Jude is a great charity. You know, Gary Sasser, secretary, called me one time. She said, "Tony, I want you to go downtown and have lunch with Marlo Thomas." And I said, "Not that girl." And she said, "Yeah, that girl." I said, "Gary can't go. He wants you to go down there and see her, see if we can help her with her charity." And I sure, I'll be happy to. So I called Teresa. I said, you want to go meet that girl? And she said, "No, I got to teach, Tony." So I went to my operations manager, Jimmy Williams. I said, "Jimmy, you need to come with me to lunch because we're going to go meet Marlo Thomas." And Jimmy make a cup of coffee nervous, you know. So I took him and we went down there and we met her, and I met the guy that ran the charities for ALSAP while I was there. But anyway, we got involved in that, and she was so inspiring to me that I came back and I said, "Jimmy, I want you to set me up a meeting with every department we've got and every shift we got. I want to talk to them about St. Jude. I want to get them to contribute to that." So we had a drive going where everybody would give $1 of their paycheck each week to St. Jude. And anyway, we started that. And of course, I suddenly became the company guy for that. And this year we gave them $1.5 million. We've been giving them $1 million every year for the last, I don't know how many years, but we won the Employee Giving Award of the Year for St. Jude several times. And I actually got to accept that award once, and it was probably one of the greatest moments I think I've ever had in my career. But it's God inspired. The Holy Ghost allowed me to make that speech because I can't do that well. I'm confident. But anyway, we got people right here in Fayetteville, Tennessee that have had cancer and were healed at St. Jude's Children's Hospital. It's just amazing what that charity does down there. People say, "Well, we don't have miracles anymore." I said, "We haven't been down to Danny Thomas Boulevard and seen St. Jude. You'll see miracles. They happen. God still does them."
Yes, he does. So would you recommend young people today to go into the service?
I got mixed emotions on that, Linda. I'll be honest with you. I hope that we start to take a better attitude about this great country that we have and this thing we call freedom that we're just brushing off as something that's not important anymore. Yeah, no. I mean, I would think that in my case, I couldn't go to college because my parents couldn't afford it. You know, I didn't have any options. My options were different than people today. I would recommend a kid that wanted to try to drive his future, that didn't have the funding and so forth. I'd put him in the military, because especially if he's immature like I was and he needs to grow up and he's lacking confidence like I did. I'd go in there, get that.
I think it helps them grow up and mature.
Oh, let me tell you, if you've ever been shot at, there's nothing to build confidence like that if you can shoot back. I'll just tell you right now. It just once you get over that hurdle, nothing scares you anymore. Nothing scares you.
Good. Anything else?
I think that's it. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you very much.
Definitely.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thank
Yeah.
you.